My name is Kostas Zimarakis. Since I remember, I always wanted to become a painter. I am an artist, a painter living in New York. I was born in an island of the Aegean in Greece. When I look at my paintings, I believe my exposure to all the art that exists in Greece and in the Greek church, that were the biggest influence in my art. Years later, a well-known American painter, Aristodimos Kaldis, came to Greece. At that time I was living in Athens. And he came to the house once, we invited him for dinner, and at that time I was doing certain things that I hung on the walls. He looked at them, and to my amazement he says to me, "You are born a painter. Why don't you come to New York and study with me?" So that's what I did. I came back to New York, and I studied with him.
It was a desire, it was a fire burning in me, but I never shared it with anyone, mainly because I always knew that who's going to listen to you? So why get more disappointed? So I never expressed it to anyone. But when the right person brought it out, when he said, "You're a born painter, come with me to New York, you'll become a painter." Then I listened and I followed that advice. I always feel very privileged because I did what I like to do the most, and that gives me a lot of pleasure and satisfaction, and I have no regrets at all.
At that time I was 38 years old, but then I thought of Gauguin. Gauguin was 40 years old when he decided to start painting. That's what's happening to late bloomers, and that's how my journey as an artist, as a painter started. I didn't go to school to become a painter for two reasons. First, it was my ego. Or maybe there's something else. A painter can only tell you a few technical things about creating a composition, a synthesis. If you are to follow him, you'll end up painting like him.
My early work was my childhood on the island, but later on, I surpassed that, and in my evolution, I use more of my knowledge, if you prefer, of the art movements of schools. So that changed, which is that instead of 80% my emotions and 20% my intellect, became the opposite. I started looking into the art world, what was happening in the city that I live in, Manhattan. The memories of my childhood became less and less, and in a point they disappear. So intellect took over. I do abstract work, I work on canvas, but at other times I just do drawings with pencil, and that helps the design of the painting. Back in the 90s, I did a series of monotypes or monoprints.
I went to museums a lot. I was observing other painters that I felt I had the same idiosyncrasy with them because it is connected. I was always trying on my own, which means that I was studying artists that I liked, going to museums, to openings, talking with other painters. There is what they call parthenogenesis, which is virgin birth. In other words, the artist who decides not to get involved with the traditions of painting, the schools of painting, he might be called up counterfeit. By that I mean that the artist is obliged to show in his work that he admires certain artists, that he is well informed about the traditions and the schools of painting. I like many artists, but the artist who influenced me the most was my mentor.
My early art was having a big appeal to those who were analyzing or evaluating my art through their emotions only. When I started painting, my first paintings were a reference to my childhood on the island that I grew up. I just wanted to paint. So my emotions took over. I was expressing my emotions. I believe I was very audacious at the very beginning because certain painters approached me and said, you have the nerve to have a show? I said, sure, why not? I was not afraid because what I was doing was truthful. You see, I had nothing to hide. And then I said, yeah, I would like to show my art. I would like to see the reaction of the viewer, or how they feel, what they feel. And I had an exhibition very early on. Even my mentor was impressed, and he said, I don't believe it, you know? I was painting landscapes because, as I said before, my childhood and my memories from my birthplace were in me. I was recreating the place that I loved so much, and I lived until I was 19 years old. But then I felt I should go on, go to a different stage, which was to use the same colors, sometimes the mood of my landscapes, and I decided to start making non-figurative, or if you prefer, abstract paintings. So that thought led me to what I'm doing now, which is totally abstract paintings, although my previous work looked like landscapes, now it looks like buildings of Manhattan. Socrates believed in pregnancy. It is related, because when a woman gives birth and she's relieved, the same thing happens to the artist who first conceives the idea, and until he executes it, and then he feels the relief. So it's exactly the same. As far as my influences are concerned, I could read a poem. That would be the inspiration for me to make a painting. Or it could be a painting that I saw in a museum and really moved me. When I have a good idea and I execute it in a half an hour sometimes. I'm an expressionist. I express my feelings and my knowledge, and with the help of my tools, I finish the composition in a very short time. Let's say I started the painting, right? But I was not happy at the end. Then I destroy it, and I start something else. In the second case, that's my motivation. In order for me to feel good, because if I don't succeed in a painting, I don't feel good that day. I feel like melancholic. Creating, I believe, is something that gives me a lot of pleasure. But imagine this world without art and without artists. Art and artists are a vision, or if you prefer, a dream. To desire to do something that you love, you cannot escape from it.